Hey, all you experts out there. This is the Monetize Your Expertise podcast, where we show you how to use your skills to pay the bills. Have you ever wanted to create a business that positions you as the industry leader and go-to expert? Join me every week to hear from amazing leaders and entrepreneurs who have successfully refined their skills in order to become experts and create extremely profitable knowledge businesses. To find all of the links and tools mentioned in this episode, just go to myepodcast.com. I'm your host, Grant Weherley, the online course guy, helping you every week to monetize your expertise. Hey, podcast listeners. In this episode, I interview Rob Cubbon. He's an online course veteran who's been on Udemy since the very beginning. And we get into tons of really actionable strategies and tips and tricks for creating online courses and specifically publishing courses on Udemy in particular. But we also get into Rob's story about starting out as a location-independent entrepreneur and how he got established and has scaled his business and become quite successful. So stay tuned. I think you'll learn a lot. We dive into a lot of really great tips and tricks, and so I hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, and thanks for joining me today. Today I'm on with my friend Rob Cubbon from robcubbon.com, serial entrepreneur, author, creator of online Udemy courses, as well as owner of a graphic design business. Thanks for coming on today, Rob.
Thanks a lot, Grant. Thanks for that great intro.
Had to practice it a few times first before we got it right. Tell me a bit about how you got started. So I've actually interviewed you before and we talked a bit about that, but just to sort of give a bit of background about how you ended up where you are today. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the graphic design business. So I was doing very menial dead-end jobs in London. I was working for usually graphic design businesses, and I was doing quite boring sort of typesetting, print design work. I wasn't actually doing any design, but I was doing the semi-technical stuff for typesetting, etc. On the design in the design business. And I started a website, started blogging, and managed to get some work. People contacting me, asking me to do things for them, and I was able to do that from home and start a business that way by basically doing what I was doing at work, but instead of doing it at work, doing it at home for clients. And that grew. It grew from there. I started doing web design and all sorts of other exciting stuff.
Nice. And did you find, so was the pay the same from the beginning? There was just the perk of the location freedom, or did you actually start earning more just by having your own clients versus clients through your company?
Yes, I made a point actually, and I tell everyone to I charged double what I was getting at work, and I think that is absolutely fair enough. You do want to charge double or triple what you're getting at work because you're in charge of the project. You've got much more responsibility, and you've got to oversee the whole job. And that was the point. I mean, as soon as that work started coming in, the clients started to ask me to do things that I wasn't used to be doing, and it really pushed me. You know, it made me learn new stuff. It made me more responsible, and as soon as it started happening, I knew it was good. You know, I knew this is good for so many reasons. It's good financially, and it's good for me. On a sort of emotional and intellectual and spiritual level, and so sorry, I probably went off on a tangent on that answer, but yes.
No, it's good stuff.
I started earning more money. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I always say that being in business for yourself is a great way to grow as a person in terms of being able to handle stress and responsibility and just the actual development of skills. So I totally understand exactly what you mean by that. It's really good stuff. So you transitioned into working for yourself. And then I also know you started to travel because we've actually met here in Thailand. And then I also know one of the big things that you've got into, and we've actually been on webinars together talking about Udemy and online courses. So I know now you're an author, you've got these online courses. How did you get into things like that?
Well, but yes, I mean, the thing to remember is that I've been at it a long time. I think people are going to say, how did he do all these things? But I mean, the thing is, this has been through years. because I first started blogging in 2006. And so we're here in 2015 now, nearly 10 years. So in that time, the more you blog, the more you create content, the better you get at it. It doesn't matter whether you're a good writer or you're naturally adept at creating content. If you do it every week for years and years, you begin to pick up these skills. And so I was creating tutorial videos on YouTube. It was a natural extension of what I was doing on the blog. I was explaining various graphic design and web design techniques. And so YouTube started happening. And then I heard about this online learning platform called Udemy. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. I could actually get paid for my content here. Why don't I give that a go? So it happened, quite a natural process by degrees. And always, I was interested in passive income. I was always interested in other entrepreneurial blogs and reading entrepreneurial books. So me and Udemy were a perfect fit at one point, and we still are to a large extent as well.
Nice. And so did you start creating online courses or writing books first?
Actually writing books first, because I'd already created PDF ebooks for download on my website, which were available for purchase as well. So I'd started doing that a few years ago as well.
Do you remember what the title or the topic of your very first book was?
Yes, it was quite a bad choice for a title as well. Another thing you learn is that all the things you do at the beginning, they're always going to be they're going to be mistakes in some way. And this is a classic example of an early mistake I made. The first book I wrote was called How to Get Clients. And I have since changed the title to be How to Get Web Design Clients Online, because it was far too general and it wouldn't have interested anyone if they just popped onto my blog and saw this unknown person blogging about getting work. It was far too general. So I made it a bit more specific and a bit more about what I'm about at the time. And hopefully that title did a little bit better than the first title I came up with.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree. Basically, everything you do for your first product, even if a lot of times you'll do everything wrong and it'll still work to some extent, but you still will always improve from your first go at it.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? Everything you do, it will be wrong the first time, and yet it'll be right as well, because you will make some money. So it's just a good reason for getting that first one out the door as quickly as possible. Yeah,
and making it through and getting the practice in order to make something truly great. And so, you can do everything wrong, and oftentimes it'll still be good enough to actually see some kind of results. So that was the topic of your first book. Do you remember the topic of your first Udemy course?
Yes, because the first Udemy course was nothing more than a collection of videos I'd already done on YouTube. Because it's a free course. So, I really think it's a good idea. Not for everyone, but it's really worked for me. It's creating free courses on Udemy. I thought, well, it's on YouTube. If something's on YouTube, you're not allowed to ask for money on Udemy for viewing the same video material that's for free elsewhere. So I bundled it together, put it on Udemy. Obviously, that didn't take me a long time. I called it Creating a Business Website, actually. Probably not a great title either, but it didn't do particularly well at first. But then it sort of slowly started to get some traction and got some reviews. And I remember one of the reviews said, the quality was really bad because I wasn't using ScreenFlow at the time. I was using another package. And it really wasn't very good video quality, and sound quality wasn't good. I think I was using an internal microphone at the time. And somebody said, if Rob made this course with decent quality, I would buy it. And that must have sort of rung a bell somewhere. A light bulb went off. And I thought, right, well, I'll just do this course again and just make a half decent stab at it. And that's what I did.
Nice, and that became your first paid course then?
Yes, exactly. It was more or less the same thing. So all it was running through a WordPress Genesis setup and making the child theme look exactly how you want it to look. So building a WordPress website and with a sort of view for a business, building it for a business, either for yourself or for a client.
Nice, very nice. And I know you've also been a big advocate of creating free courses. On the webinar we did together. Actually, I think it was the first one because I think we've done 2. So the first one, you're a big advocate of at least, even if you can make it paid. So for example, for people who are creating it from scratch, it's not already on YouTube, so there's no actual restrictions there. You advocated taking at least some content and making a free course in order to dramatically increase your student population, because of course people are going to enroll in free courses much more often than they'll pay for one. So yeah, what's the thought behind that approach?
Yeah, well, obviously things have changed on Udemy a little bit over the years, but the thinking behind it was that, as you know, Grant, you can only promote to students on your paid courses. However, there's nothing to stop you changing a free course to a paid course. So, and a free course, I think you hardly even need half an hour's video. So maybe just 20 minutes video, and put it up as a free course, and then you can add more video as time goes on, and then make it a paid course, and then it will be full of thousands of students, and then you're able to promote to those students and cross-sell them with your other premium products on Udemy. And just the fact that people will see your free material, like it, get to know your brand, and possibly buy your premium products as well. So, I wouldn't say it's right for everyone, but I think it's something to consider, is to create a free course on Udemy, because boy, does it fill up with students pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think you were the first person who suggested that I heard that about. And since I heard you originally say that way back when, I definitely tried that, and it works really well. And you're spot on with the fact that there's nothing to stop you from, at least for the first version of a course, making it free, getting it out there to start with, and getting those couple thousand students in, and then improving it, and then transitioning it to a paid course, and then having dramatically higher, exponentially higher student population to then leverage later. So how many courses do you have now total?
12 on Udemy, Grant.
Oh, wow. The Udemy master over here.
Yeah, well, I think to do on Udemy is just to create multiple courses. Don't stop at the one course. I think that's a mistake, is people just put their one course on Udemy and then start complaining that nobody's bought it. I think that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since so much of your power comes from the internal cross promotions you can do between your own courses. So if you only got one, then you're almost handicapped in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many of those are free and how many are paid?
There's only 3 that are free at the moment. 3 that are free. And the other 9 are paid.
Nice. So one thing I recommend to people is that you can also have a paid course, take a section of it, or some kind of cross section, and make it free. Or for example, if you've got your own, premium course on your own platform, you can take a section of that and then put it on Udemy and use that to sort of promote your brand. Have you ever tried anything like that, like hosting it on Fedora or things like that, and then having both channels active?
No, I haven't. No, that's an interesting way of doing it. And the only way I've done that's similar to that is I tend to put the first 25% of a paid course on Udemy for free on YouTube, because that does bring in a bit of sales from YouTube. But no, I hadn't done that technique. That's quite interesting, Grant.
Nice. And how big is your YouTube channel?
It's fairly big. It's I've had over 500,000 views on it, and
nice.
Subscribers. I think I might have it getting on for 3,000 subscribers. Subscribers aren't great, but on YouTube is a funny old thing. I mean, there's some of them just do amazingly well, and some of them just never see the light of day. It's just a weird thing about YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I find to some extent that happens a little bit with Udemy courses as well. It seems like some of them, you can't always immediately predict which ones are going to be successful or how successful they'll be. And I think that's probably one of the reasons behind what you suggested, which is diversifying your efforts, because you don't really know what's going to hit all the way.
That's exactly what I was just about to say when you were saying that, because it's the same with everything, isn't it? Kindle books, blog posts, Udemy courses. Some of them work, and some of them are successful, and some of them aren't. Doesn't mean to say the ones that aren't are bad in any way, but you never really know. So it does make sense to get out there and create as many products as you can, because it's likely that one of them will do better than the others, and then you can build on that.
Yeah, and not only that, but of course you get the additional practice of each course that you make will essentially be better than the last because you have that additional practice under your belt.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah.
So what are some strategies that you use in terms of actually creating the content for your courses or promoting them? Anything along those lines that you have found particularly effective?
Right. Well, are we talking about Udemy courses here or just courses in general?
Actually, you can go either way with it. Anything that comes to your head.
Okay. Well, sort of. First of all, with creating them, as I was saying, I'm a big proponent of free content. So maybe you've written some blog posts that are particularly good, and I'm quite into sort of reappropriating content as well. So what I can do often is that I will read out what I've written and use that in a course, in a course video. So I'll prepare some slides around what I've written somewhere, and then read it out. So it sounds a lot better. The words that come to you are much better than if you were just doing it off the top of your head. And just generally, maybe I've written an ebook on something, and I could just then use the skeleton of that ebook as the skeleton of a course. So there's lots you can do around reappropriation of content. Another thing that I would do is just create lots of short videos and brand them with your brand, i.e. your logo, whatever it is, and make sure that the short videos stand up on their own. So they're explaining some particular process or helping people with some particular point. And I wouldn't refer to anything else in the video. So don't refer to Udemy, don't refer to the course you think you're making the video on. Don't refer to a number of the lecture that you think it is, because all these things can change. You see, the idea is to make videos that stand up on their own, so they can then slot into courses easily, and you don't have to re-edit them in order to make them fit into a course. They will seamlessly fit into any course that you create if they stand up on their own and they're just branded with you and nothing else. So that means you can use videos on multiple channels, on multiple courses, and you don't need to do any re-editing. So there's a couple of things that I've learned about course creation.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Especially so going between ebooks and courses is something, of course, I'm familiar with, but because I've done that myself and something I advocate. But going between, I'd never thought about using a blog post and just quickly creating slides and basically having that be your script. That's brilliant. It's so simple too.
Yeah, and that as well. You could make a SlideShare presentation. Some of them do really well, and that can SlideShare presentations with an offer at the end are very good for collecting email addresses.
Nice. So what are some different platforms that you use besides Udemy?
Oh well, I mean the problem is don't spread yourself too thin. Of course, the reason I mentioned SlideShare is because a guy that I follow quite a lot, Steve Scott, was seeing some success there, and I sort of tried to replicate what he was doing, and I have seen some success as well on SlideShare, but it's exactly the same as all the others. I had one presentation that did particularly well, and I thought, oh great, I'll do another one, and it didn't do as well at all. So it really depends. So my platforms really at the moment are Kindle and Udemy. They are the two most successful ones, and Kindle's 10 times more difficult than Udemy, for me at least. And then I they're easy online learning platforms such as Skillfeed and Skillshare, in that you just put your videos up there and you don't really have to do much else. So the money's not great, but it is totally passive. So that's a good thing. And there's a few others like that. And then there's my, not to forget the most important thing, of course, is my platform, robcubbon.com. Because that's where I can collect email addresses, and if I do sell products from that platform, I get more of the percentage of the sale, and there tends to be larger prices as well. So that's really it. The social media and YouTube. Don't forget YouTube. Of course, YouTube. I do try and post something every 2 weeks. I've said to myself, make sure you post a video every 2 weeks. It should be every week, but I just want to make it constant there. So the answer is not to spread yourself too thin. And I've been building up these platforms, over the years. So if anyone's listening to this, I would recommend that they concentrate on just a few and then sort of build out from there. Because you can get terribly distracted, as you know, Grant, in this line of work.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a great value, though, in even if you just pick one platform of each modality. So, for example, kind of as we already mentioned, taking your courses and putting them on your own website, and then maybe adding a teaser video and then turning them into a book. Like, there's actually really streamlined ways of doing that. And actually, you can pretty easily hire somebody just to upload your videos to other platforms. But I very much agree with what you're saying, too, about being focused, because there's I think every single day somewhere there's some new educational platform cropping up nowadays. Like, literally somebody sent me a new one today that an entrepreneur, a friend of a friend, just created, just because I guess he's hopping on that train, because there's so many happening nowadays, and you kind of see them cropping up all over the place. But still, I find Udemy is still the most effective. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with both counts. Udemy is the most effective, and there are others cropping up every day. I get the same emails as you get, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
But having said that, I think you should keep your eye out on that. Obviously, don't put your videos everywhere, because that it'll take you too long, and it'll be expensive if you outsource it. So choose wisely. However, it is a growing sector of online business, online learning, and therefore I do believe that there will be other successful platforms coming up out there. So I would really watch this space. And yes, Udemy does seem to be the market leader for the time being, and I expect that to continue for the foreseeable future. But I'm sure there's a lot that's going to be happening, and I keep my relationships up with other instructors, and as I'm sure you do, Grant, because you can really learn things from what the other people are doing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's actually one of the criteria I have for trying out new platforms, is that I already know somebody who's already used it, because like you said, you get emails all the time, but like, hey, new platform in Russia this time. It's basically Udemy for Russia, or Udemy for Saudi Arabia, or whatever it is. And, I'm assuming most of them flop. I don't actually know, but yeah, so you got to really pick and choose. And that's one of the best ways to have that criteria, is to just see what other people have already found success with.
Exactly.
So you have your courses, let me clarify this. You have your same Udemy courses also on robcubbon.com?
Yes, I've got a membership site. It's at learn.robcubbon.com.
Okay, and so is it a membership to all of your courses, or?
No, well, you see, that's what I've learned. I was on Udemy for a long time before I set up my membership site. And what I've learned in the last year is, everything I did, Grant, every decision I made was incorrect. It was one of those classic cases of what we were talking about. Yeah, exactly. So what I've did is, I'll put all my courses onto my membership site and charge a monthly fee, and then I'll get that recurring income. And I thought that was such a clever idea. I thought I was going to be the WP curve of online learning. Unfortunately, that never happened, because it's very difficult to ask for monthly recurring income for any audience, to anyone, if you're not actually supplying anything every month. If there's no sort of benefit for them to stay. So a few of my audience took me up on the offer. Thank you very much, and sort of cancelled their membership after 2 or 3 months, and the money coming in just wasn't there. So I scrapped that, and then now I'm selling them all at one-time offers for lifetime membership. And in the future, what I'm going to do is sell original content, sell exclusive content on my membership site, and build it up slowly and with different products, and keep it simple as well. Just have different offer, have one single offer on an email sequence that looks really attractive, that isn't available elsewhere. And I think that's the way to go. And because on Udemy, everything gets sold for between $10 and $20, $25. So what you should do, I think, is probably build some sort of other product to sell on your site for a higher ticket price. And I think that would be the way to go. I'll do this going forward.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of important points there. And one of them is just, there's a lot of trial and error with this kind of stuff. So I'm curious, have you ever found any direct spillover effects from your Udemy courses to getting clients or to email subscribers or anything like that? Have you ever actually intentionally tried to build your brand that way off of Udemy using your courses?
Oh yeah, big time. And I'm not sure the extent that I've done it, whether I've gone in, gone by the rules, as you can say, there's a sort of a sticky area with Udemy. But I've always said on Udemy, I've always had videos saying, look, I've got a free ebook here, and go to this web address, and you can download it there. And Udemy have never held me up on that. It's always been in the videos, and they've always sort of passed the courses. They've never mentioned it. I'm not sure if it's in their rules, because I know they have rules about that you're not allowed to send people to squeeze pages. Certainly not in the announcements anyway, which I don't do, of course. But I've been doing that since the beginning, and I'm not sure. It's definitely brought people into my funnel, and with Kindle as well. I mean, Udemy and Kindle are great lead generation platforms. That's for sure. Just as I say, all your courses are branded with you. People can see you, they can hear you, they see your logo. If they really think the course is great, they're gonna Google your name anyway, and they're gonna follow you to your website, and you'll get the ones that are the most engaged. They're the ones that are going to follow you to your website anyway. I think this process works quite naturally from Udemy. But I also do make a point of telling them that, there are free ebooks here, and et cetera, et cetera. But going forward, I'm going to sort of make sure I follow the rules. Do you know anything about that, Grant, by the way? I mean, what you can do in your Udemy videos and what you can't in terms of directing people to squeeze pages?
I think that, again, like you said, it's such a gray area. And it seems like how Udemy works is it's kind of, unless it's already like outlawed explicitly, it's okay until people start to complain about it, and then they immediately change the rules and it becomes illegal. So that's what it seems like they've done in the past. So I guess not enough people have complained about that, but I mean, the explicit elements they do have is how, like you said, you can't send people through links in your educational announcements or elsewhere directly to squeeze pages. So one of the things that I do to kind of get around that is, and so actually I don't remember seeing a specific reference to, verbally giving that out versus in writing. So I think that might also be a way you're getting around it as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just haven't noticed. There's no real way to tell, of course, which, by the way, it's a brilliant idea that you do that. One of the things that I do is I send people to, basically it's a squeeze page, but it doesn't actually have the opt-in up front. So for example, you can send people to a video on a page where the opt-in pops up like either halfway through the video or at the end of the video to offer them like follow-on videos. Or of course, if you send them to a blog post, everybody's got, opt-ins on their sidebar or pop-up opt-ins as well. And so of course, like they can't outlaw that because almost every blog has something like that. So the way I have it in my head and the way I make decisions, and this seems to work pretty well, is that basically if you focus on giving people something first and then allowing them to opt in for something else, then you're not directly sending them to an opt-in in terms of the way Udemy looks at it. So basically send them to some kind of free information.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely, it's a gray area because, as you rightly say, if you put them to any sort of blog page, it's going to have pop-ups, it's going to have opt-ins. So I think as long as you're not being too over the top salesy about it, then you're probably going to be okay with Udemy. And even if they change the rules, they're not going to make you go back and change all your videos. So I think what you're doing is very clever there, Grant. And if I could make another point as well,
go for it.
I would create redirects to these pages where you're directing people to from Udemy or wherever. What I mean is create URLs that are very easy for the students to type in. So I have my offer is at robcubbon.com/free, FREE. So it's really easy to type in, and I'm talking about it on the video. It might flash up on the screen, but it's not actually a link, so they've got to type it. So there's lots of redirect plugins you can get for WordPress. So just make it easy for them to get to that page, which will make more people get to that page and will make you receive more leads from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make a really great point there because, again, just kind of reiterate what you said. So if you're saying it in a video, the way Udemy works is people will hear it, they might see it in, as an overlay in the video, but of course they can't click it. And that's where it gets sort of into the blacker area of gray, I guess, if you actually have the link directly to a squeeze page with free ebooks. So yeah, I think that's a really good point as well. So if you're comfortable with me asking, I'd be really curious. I mean, I know you do earning reports. I'm sure you'd probably be okay with this question, but would you mind sort of doing a breakdown, ballparking, like earnings over the different platforms that you use?
Yeah, well, as you say, they're all on my income reports, which I do quarterly. So Udemy, I start with Udemy because it's the one that brings in 60% of my passive income.
Nice.
Which is, it's nice, but then again, obviously, it's always good to spread your bets and don't put all your eggs in one basket, et cetera, et cetera. But let's talk about the numbers. So Udemy, I get between 4,000 and 6,000 a month, and the most I've ever made is 6,700, and that was in November, which is Black Monday and what have you. So SkillFeed and Skillshare tend to be around 400 a month, and Kindle is that can go up and down. I've had really good months over 1,000, and really bad months will be about 400. And it depends on whether you've done a launch recently, because Kindle is, obviously there's more competition on Amazon than there is on Udemy. And I also have income from other online learning platforms and deals sites and affiliate income. This is all on my learning reports, earning reports rather. And I have been making nice amounts of money from my membership site, but again, that was when I was doing a launch, and a launch on the membership site, which is an email sequence to a large email list, which takes a bit of time, so it's not very passive. But hopefully that will be growing once I get various elements of my funnel in place. And so there are other passive income streams, for example, Google AdWords, and I also mentioned PDF ebooks on my site. But that gives you some idea about what's going on, and people can see the way these have grown over the years as well, which I find very interesting, and I think a lot of other people do as well.
Yeah, I love looking at earning reports just because it's so interesting to see where people truly make their money at the end of the day, because you might talk about Kindle and Udemy, but unless you know that you make like several times as much on one than the other, then it helps you kind of understand where to put the bulk of your time and what pays off more over time. So tell me, you mentioned coupon sites. So can you break that down for me, the different deal sites and coupon sites that you use to actually make money from?
Yes, because I'm sure there's a scenario where we could do a lot, Grant. You see, this is the point. I've been using Deal Fuel, and dealfuel.com, and purely because they got in touch with me, so that makes things so much better. And they can bundle your stuff in with other stuff, you see, and then you get a little percentage of it, but it's marvelously passive. You just set up and then a few months later you get a PayPal payment. So that's one to look into. Just drop them a line, see what they say. There are others that I'm sure would be good, but I haven't had anything back from them yet, like Groupon, like StackSocial, which is good for the design industry. And there are others as well. MightyDeals springs to mind, but that's one where I've been into. I haven't heard anything back from them, but it's wise just to keep emailing them. Just one of these days you'll get something. Udemy goes into partnership with StackSocial as well, because they're very into this. Of course, there's AppSumo, and I think Udemy did have a deal with AppSumo at some stage, but I think that turned sour for some reason. But you can try these places yourself as well. And I should mention there are other online learning platforms that I've done well with as well, that use the Eudora platform. Fedora. For God, use Fedora. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say? I got it wrong.
Eudora. It's Fedora.
Yeah.
That. So you said you have used Fedora, or you just are interested in using Fedora?
No, I don't use Fedora on my site, but I use. I'm on other online learning platforms that are using that. So they just upload your courses from Udemy. So as you know, that's very easy, and they sell them on their sites.
Yeah, and so do you use a particular platform or software to host your courses on your own website?
Yeah, well, I went down a different route, and again, I wanted more control. I wanted to use a WordPress plugin so I could make the pages look the way I wanted to, and I wanted to do it that way. But the problem was it's 10 times more difficult to do. Yeah, you have to get the video storage. And I use Vimeo for that. And even that broke down the other day. They just decided...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. They decided to withhold... I had 350 videos. And somebody sent me an email saying, I can't access your course on your site. And I said, oh, well, I'll have to have a look at that. I logged into Vimeo and saw I had 0 videos. So that was a bit of a shock. But lots of things can go wrong. It shows you just how difficult it is to create these platforms yourself, and what a great job Udemy do of it. It's not easy. There's a lot of technical challenges there. Even worse than the video hosting is just the shopping cart and the protection of the content with the membership plugin. So I'm using Digital Access Pass, but what I've learned over the last year, Grant, is to not obsess over the tools you're using. Just concentrate on the customer's experience and try and make it as good as possible, and just get the products out there as quickly as you can. See what the feedback's like. Because there are so many ways you can do this, and you can get bogged down very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially if you are building stuff out yourself, things, like you said, inevitably do go wrong. In fact, I even recently had some issues with some email providers. I was switching, and I actually had separate problems with each one, and people got duplicate emails, and other people didn't get emails at all. Actually, some of the people watching this might have seen what I'm talking about, might have actually received duplicate emails or things. So it's you face palm and have problems like that no matter what you do. Even Udemy breaks down sometimes. So it's just kind of inevitable. You got to roll with the punches and keep on rocking.
Absolutely, Grant. You're absolutely right there. God, I've done that. Double emails. I've done that to thousands of people. I apologize now.
It's so embarrassing though. You're like, oh no, whoops.
I know. You say whoops, but I should think that the words I use are different.
Yeah, a little bit more colorful. So tell me a bit about how you market your courses on your own website.
Yeah, well, that's email. I've been collecting email addresses for a while, and I have an opt-in which is free ebooks and free MP3s. That does quite well. What I have managed to set up over the last few months, and I'm quite pleased with this because it is working quite well, is to get. I have 5 free courses on my site, and I think I might have 6 actually. But it's very easy. You just go to robcubbon.com/free courses, and you'll see the opt-in page there. And what's really nice about it is that people can sign up with their first name and email address, and then they get to watch the free courses straight away. And there's a single opt-in set up there, and immediately there's an upsell to a premium course. So I'm just starting to get that. And what's really nice about that list that I'm building there is it's extremely responsive. So I'm getting sort of 50% open rates because I've just started, and really good click-through rates on it. But it's because I'm providing value. You're getting hours and hours of free training. You can choose which course. All the courses are quite short. They're about half an hour. So if you really want to watch one course, you're going to sign up, and it's single opt-in. So I think that's the way to go. You just get people's email addresses and blast them with great free content that they really love. And then just keep on giving them free stuff through the email autoresponder, and so that they really don't want to unsubscribe because they don't want to miss anything, and then just gradually sort of upsell to your premium stuff. And then also upselling is quite easy because they're already logged into the site, so all they have to do is click a PayPal link or enter their credit card details. Then they can get some sort of premium offer.
Very nice. And so I'm curious about a little bit of the specific logistics of that. So do you have it so that as soon as somebody opts into the free course, immediately they get sent to a upsell page, or is it like a follow-up email, or do you have like a regular follow-up sequence which includes free content, but then every third email offers a paid course, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's the first thing you said. As soon as they click they enter their email address and first name, then they get sent to this page which says, in 30 seconds you'll receive an email with your password, and but you are logged in anyway. However, here is an offer for $27. I can experiment with that price. It may be that there are other prices that do better. But I've only just started. But that's how the upsell is done initially. But obviously they're in an email sequence that gives free quality content in an autoresponder. And after 3 or 4 emails, there'll be another offer for a premium product.
Very nice. I really like this. I have a lot of questions too. I'm really interested to see. Do you have any like hard numbers on conversion rates from traffic to opt-in to upsell, things like that?
No, I'm afraid not. I'm just doing this now. It's taken months and months and months, and there aren't any sort of good statistics to give you at all, I'm afraid, because I'm really looking into it. This is an art. This is there is a real. There's so many ways you can go. There's so many variables, but I am sort of just starting to get to grips with it at the moment. And a lot of it as well is about tiered pricing, because having cheap offers and more expensive offers, having a real sort of a range of different prices, it is another thing to do, because certain people, everyone's different that are joining this funnel, and certain people will be more comfortable at certain price ranges. So it's really, you've got to spread your offers along a price range. And I'm really just learning about this now, Grant. Honestly, if you ask me in 6 months' time, I'll probably be able to tell you a lot more.
Nice. Well, I'll have to interview you again then. Yeah. So I think you just hit on something really key, which is to to build out, a sales ladder to have people coming in at free, then offering them, you mentioned $27, so it's like a low price point to get people started on quality paid content, and then from there you can sell them a premium course for maybe $100 or a couple $100. Then from there, maybe there's some kind of consulting role or a course bundle or graphic design services. So yeah, I think having that funnel, having that series of steps and series of offers to allow people to pick whatever's most appropriate for where they're at and what they can afford, and offering them the corresponding value at each level. I think that's really essential in long-term growth of any business.
Yeah, you're right, and also people will, they might buy all product. It's not just that they would buy one, the expensive one or the cheap one. They might start with the cheap one and work their way up as well as they're real sort of fans of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a bit about how because you mentioned that, so you're on your own platform, you have your courses and you offer some for free, but then they upsell into paid. You also just have some for paid, and you sell those primarily through your email list. So tell me a bit about how you grow your email list.
Well, that's that's really been going on for years. Because there's the old sidebar in the blog, but if you have a good blog post and the offer you have really relates to the blog post as well, then the signups will do very well after that. For example, actually, I've got a free Kindle today, and I got 23 signups yesterday, I think. If you had that every day, that would be good. Although I'm sure some people get more. But every Kindle book you write, you must put a free offer at the beginning and at the end, because they do so well. Plus you can offer Kindles for free and at various times. Not always. Well, actually, you can have them permanently free, but they pick up a lot of. They have a lot of downloads on the free days, and a lot of them will convert into subscribers. We've mentioned Udemy. That's a great way of getting subscribers. Another thing I don't do is that I want to do at some stage is webinars, because they are extremely good for getting subscribers as well. And it's just putting things in very obvious ways on your blog as well. So I always have an opt-in theme. It's hard coded into my theme. There's an opt-in at the bottom of each blog post, so I think that works quite well. Because if somebody's gone right down to the bottom, then they've probably read the whole thing, and therefore they're interested in you, so they're more likely to sign up. And I mentioned also I have several different offers as well. I don't just have the one on my blog in the sidebar, although that's the one that does the best. But I also have what we just mentioned with the free courses. But I also have others as well. So because not everyone's going to want that one sort of free ebook that you've got. So there's several ways, and it never really stops. Because I think I'm not. I could do so much more. There's so much more that you can do, and when you consider that. Getting people's email addresses is probably one of the best, probably is the best marketing tool, and sort of one of the best ways to use your time. That there is so much you can do, on this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also kind of potentially a bit of a black hole, because you can always have a better optimized conversion rate. You can always have more opt-ins or better opt-ins, or install that new sexy pop-up plugin thing that just came out,
Yeah, exactly. You're so right there as well.
So I'm curious to bring it a little bit back to Udemy. So do you have any, so we mentioned some strategies about how you pull people out of Udemy and offer them something else instead. Do you have any particular best practices of how you optimize your Udemy courses, or you pick your topics for your Udemy courses, maybe looking at the Udemy marketplace, or you run certain kinds of promotional announcements, anything along those lines?
Yeah, well, I think the best way to answer that is it's about the promotional announcements, because that's the one thing that I do concentrate on. I don't tend to do a lot of research around what titles do well on Udemy, because I kind of do my Udemy courses on the stuff that I know. I don't really research into whether it's going to do well or not. I just sort of hope it does well. That's not very scientific, but that's the way I do things. So with the promotional announcements, that is something that I can, that can add $1,500 each month to my Udemy income. So it's quite important. So what I tend to do is spend a bit of time on them. I tend to offer one of my courses that maybe is priced between $80 to $100, and I tend to offer it at around $14 to $19. I really, 14 will do a lot better than 19. And so I'd send off a blast towards the end of the month, making this offer to the people on my all of my premium courses, as long as they haven't taken this particular one, because you can exclude people because you don't want to make the offer to people who are already on that course, and just talk about the benefits. I might put in a quote from a very favorable review and have some images in there. You can put images, and you should size them to 520 pixels wide as well. Make it very attractive. I usually put something about myself as well. I think that works. It was my birthday the other day, and I went to the Eiffel Tower or something like that. But keep it brief as well. And then say this offer is only open for the next week. And then at the beginning of the next month, I'll do another email, which I say email, of course, I mean promotional announcement. And that will go out to the same people, obviously, and say, look, this offer is just about to close in 24, 48 hours. So if you're interested, then please get the course at $14 now, and a bit more about the benefits, but keep them snappy. So the reason I do that is because it's 2 emails. One is a reminder, and the offer, lasts a finite time, about a week, and I found that works the best. And the reason I do it over the new month period is because a lot of people get paid at the beginning of the month, and so that's the thinking behind that. But it's definitely 2 emails within a week about the same offer that really can bring in a sizable chunk of your Udemy revenue.
That's a really interesting idea. So, way back when I started using these, I kind of got into the habit of sending 2 offers, 2 weeks apart, essentially. So every 2 weeks, some kind of offer is going out, since you can send 2 per month. But I don't know why. It never really occurred to me to approach it in a more email marketing 101 approach, which is to have one offer, do it once a month, and actually have a higher pressure with a reminder, because inevitably people lose track of one email or forget about an offer, especially if it's going to close at a particular time. So that's really interesting. I hadn't heard of somebody else using that. And actually, as a Udemy instructor and student, of course, I get the same kinds of emails. And I haven't actually really noticed many people doing that. They tend to do more of just the kind of random one-time offer emails every couple of weeks. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I tend to look to see what other people are doing as well, and it's an art again, because it will change, because the Udemy audience will start to realize what you're doing and start to get bored, and so you've got to mix it up and keep it interesting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, along those lines, I remember my best ever promotional announcement. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I made some kind of really interesting joke and had a really entertaining image, and it was actually relevant to the topic of the course. And that promo did so much better than any other one I've ever sent. And I think it was because of that hook factor, because people, inevitably, students buy multiple courses. They do get these essentially sales emails relatively frequently, and so you definitely want to make sure that yours stands out. And you're also given limited functionality in terms of images, and you can only do some basic things. So being a little bit clever, I think, and switching things up and going above and beyond to not just being another person saying, hey, all of my courses are $19 for the next 3 days, because like everybody does that exact same thing. So I think the effort to stand out is probably quite effective. Although it's also hard to keep track of metrics on Udemy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, actually, speaking of metrics, though, it reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you earlier. You mentioned getting subscribers from your Kindle books. Have you ever tracked the data on that and see, I don't know, through Bitly links or special custom squeeze pages to see how many people actually come through from Kindle to your email list?
Oh gosh, Grant, it's just so painful to listen to you ask that question because I haven't. And
oh no!
Yeah.
Tisk tisk.
Yeah, I know. I just know it works because I get emails from people saying, I met you through Kindle or I met you through Udemy and now I'm on your subscriber list. So I know it works, so I don't bother tracking it. What I did do at one stage was put Kindle Udemy links at the back of Kindles and I could tell that worked because I used the tracking code for the coupon was Kindle 19 or something like that. So you can tell that Kindles sell courses, and you can tell that Kindles put people on emails. But I don't actually have any specific data. I just know that it works. Sorry.
No worries. So it's a good thing that it works, and it's good enough to go off that. So one thing that I found, speaking between Kindle and Udemy, which I find really interesting and works really well to get reviews for courses, is to mention that you're giving away a corresponding free ebook alongside the course, possibly a text lecture or mentioning it in a video. And you could do that through the way you mentioned it, but it kind of sabotages what I'm about to say, which is you can use it to get reviews by having asking students to message you on your instructor account to ask for the free ebook, and then you have a standard template message saying, "Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the course. Here's the ebook. Just please leave a review." And just actually having that more personal communication with students, I think, is dramatically better at encouraging people to leave reviews, because even if people love your course, only a small percentage, unfortunately, actually leave reviews for your course, but it's really important for the actual success of the course. So I'm curious, have you ever tried experimenting with that versus having the free ebook being given away through an opt-in?
That's a really good question. And the answer is yes, I have experimented, but in a different way. So what I do is I actually, if you do have a virtual assistant, this is very useful for that, because a virtual assistant can log in with your Udemy account and you can share that on LastPass or something like that. And they can leave messages on your behalf. So I instructed my VA to leave messages to the people who'd done the most of the course, who'd completed the most of the course, the students that were most engaged, ask them if they'd enjoyed the course, if they had any questions. And then if I got a reply, I would then ask them to do a review. And then I suddenly thought, oh my God, I get questions from people every day. So whenever you get a question from a Udemy student, answer it. And then after you've answered it, ask them to leave them a review, because you've done them a favor, you've gone out of your way. And so, law of reciprocity, they'll usually leave you a review if you do ask them after that. So you can foster these relationships with a VA as well. You can also upsell to them. You can also have a little. You've obviously got scripts and text that you save in a text file that you can just paste these things in. I certainly do that myself. And you can just say, here's a coupon for another course that you might be interested in, or run a spiel about if you could leave a review. It's at the top right of the course. So I do all that in the communication with the students. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's interesting that would also be a relevant way to give people an opportunity to check out your website or other products, maybe off of Udemy. Although, again, that's another situation of a gray area, because it's not through educational announcements or things where it's explicitly forbidden to give those kinds of URLs. So it's interesting that that's not something I've actually played around with, but I've also realized that, because a lot of times I'll actually email my students the copies of the ebook just to make it a little bit more personal. And I actually don't save their email addresses when they provide it to me because there's no way to attach ebooks through the Udemy messaging system. So I have to do it through email or give them a link, but I just decided to do it through email for the time being. And I realized like I could be collecting emails the entire time, or also doing what you suggested, which is having the URL be a squeeze page to get the free ebook and just be giving them that URL in an actual message. And so that's another interesting gray area where I think you would do that and, it would be fine, but I'm actually not sure if it's allowed or not.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how often that happens actually with Udemy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is for Udemy that they know that a lot of this will be happening anyway, and there's just like little that they can do about it. And so they'll, as you say, they'll let it go until it becomes an issue. And it's interesting. I mean, I think the communication with the students is good, full stop, whether you're doing it via the Udemy messaging system or you're doing it via your own email. It's always good to communicate because these people are your customers, and if you can learn so much from them, you can use their language in sales pages because they will tell you what their issues are, and sooner or later you'll be able to realize that the same issues will come up again and again, and you'll realize that that's what's important to them. So it's really great. I mean, another thing I've trying at the moment actually is offering people free 10 to 15 minute Skype consultations, and I'm doing that via my email sequence. And you actually get to talk to people out there, and that's quite interesting. I've just started to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And that's actually a fantastic method for offering people a chance to maybe join a really high-end course or get involved in some consulting or something higher end. And actually, I saw another Udemy instructor who's a friend of mine. He had something really interesting where he did a offer for a free webinar that through his Udemy courses. And I don't think it asked for email addresses actually, I think it did actually. So it was a webinar and they had to enter in their email address. So I guess this was directly to a squeeze page, but somehow I guess he didn't get in trouble for it. But anyways, so there's ways to do that where you don't send them directly to a squeeze page. But anyways, you could send them to a blog post about a webinar that you're releasing, which has the opt-in at the end, but that's a different topic. But anyway, so he does this webinar for his Udemy students with lots of free content, right? I think it was on Kindle publishing because that was his topic. And what he did was he had a follow-up sequence because one of the things he promoted was that the webinar didn't have a pitch at the end like most webinars do because it's one of the tactics, right? And so there was no pitch. It was just purely informational. But his follow-up sequence was to offer a free 30-minute consultation for him, or he said his team. So he might have actually hired people to do these consultations. I'm not really sure. I haven't asked them yet. But so he has this 30-minute follow-up to the people who've attended this webinar. And on the call, so I did get a chance to talk to him briefly about it, or at least message him back and forth. And so he's selling a very high-end product. I think he said it was in the several $1,000s range, like $3,000 or something, a full done-for-you packaged service. And he's selling it through those free 30-minute consultations that follow up a webinar. So there's all kinds of really interesting things you can do with that, and also leverage your Udemy audience to do. Again, you got to beware of the gray area, but it's really interesting to try different things like that as long as you're a bit careful and see where you can send the audience and see what you can get them to be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in what you're talking about there, Grant, and it goes along with a little bit with what I was saying. Yeah, I mean, talking to people, whether it's free 15-minute or free 30-minute, it is a way to get them onto the sort of higher ticket items, maybe proper consulting or done for you services. There's certainly a lot you can do at the top end of the ladder, and this is what we're talking about here. So it's very, very interesting that we actually seem to be thinking along the same lines a lot of the time. Yeah,
absolutely, and it's really valuable stuff, I think, because unfortunately, you can't just, write a couple ebooks and then be set for the rest of your life. You can have a comprehensive business with diversified products, multiple price points, sales funnels that work through all of them, and always be trying new things, always be innovating, because nothing you set up now will work forever, right? So
absolutely, and I think life would be very boring if you could just write a couple of ebooks and put your feet up for the rest of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of the challenge for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the final questions I'm interested to hear from you is, So what would you recommend to people who are interested in this kind of thing, or interested in taking knowledge and skills that they have and turning them into products or services? So Udemy courses, ebooks, things they sell through a blog, different things like that. So they're interested in getting started. They have some kind of skill set or expertise they're interested in turning into a business or a product, but they're starting from scratch or really early in this day and age. So how would you start if you had to start over?
Well, yeah, God, yeah. End with an easy question, Grant. Well, it's very interesting. What would you do if you're starting out again? I always answer this question the same way. I always say make great free content, but it's an easy answer, isn't it? And what do I mean by that? Well, I would concentrate on what you know, definitely, because as you were saying, we've all got skills. It doesn't matter who you are, and I think if you're listening to Grant's podcast, you're probably already creating content. Maybe already got ideas for products, and maybe you've made a product. So I would advise you just to keep going with the free stuff. And, experiment with the titles, make sure the titles are nice and specific to what you're trying to do, drill down into different areas of your expertise. But every blog post is different. Every product is different. So you can really experiment on what works. And as Grant and I have been saying, some things work so much better than others, and we very often have no idea why. But the more you do, the more you get an idea of what your audience is interested in. So keep on with the communication with your audience, and keep on creating free stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. And then that will make you a better product creator. So you keep on creating the products, and you get better with each one, and you'll get a better idea of the subject of each one as you continue with the free content. And that's really what I would say. It's easy in a way just to say, keep at it, but there definitely works if you keep on giving the free stuff away. So I'm really big on the free stuff, and I wouldn't ignore that side of things. I'd keep on with that, because as I was saying actually the other day, what's the similarity between James Altucher, Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin, and Richard Branson? And the answer is they're all multimillionaires, and they all produce free content on a regular basis.
Oh, really? Richard Branson does that too?
Well, he puts out a lot of free content via his blog, and it has his name at the bottom. Whether it's him actually creating it is another matter.
Oh, it's fascinating. I didn't even know he had a blog. Do you know what it's called?
Oh, it's a Virgin. If you follow Virgin or anything like that, he's always giving out. He's always doing free blogs. The output is great. I mean, the images he shares with quotes, it's very, very good on social media and stuff like that. So yeah, it is definitely something he's doing. Obviously, his skills of outsourcing are 100x of ours, but he still does give out free content. That's for sure. Yeah.
Nice. And I really loved all the tips you just shared as well. I think they're all exceedingly important. So just to kind of wrap up, do you have any final quick Udemy hacks or anything like that that come to your head? Anything that's like super quick?
Oh,
I'm just trying to stump you here.
Yeah. I don't know. I say your name at the beginning and say your name at the end of the video, or your brand. Can't we? That was my quick Udemy hack.
Oh, I like that. And it's actually something I do not do, so I definitely like that. Nice. Cool. So where could everybody find you and all of your products if they want to check out your stuff further?
Okay, well, my name's Rob Cubbon, and you can find me at robcubbon.com. That's ROBCUBBON.
Nice. And thank you so much for joining me today. I think we covered a lot of really valuable stuff, and I think everybody who listened is smarter.
I think anyone who's tuning into our podcast would be smart in the first place, Grant. But I definitely think they're smarter now.
Cool. Thanks again.
Thanks, Grant.
Hey entrepreneurs and experts, I just wanted to thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope you learned at least one new big idea that helps you evolve your skills and gets you closer to monetizing your expertise and creating that successful knowledge business. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on iTunes and Stitcher, and check out myepodcast.com for all episodes as well as the tips and tricks mentioned in this episode. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.